Today on Shop Nation, I finally get around to organizing the end of my workbench, making simple organizers for things that I use all the time that I kind of wish were always right here. Nothing crazy, but very practical. What's up you guys, I'm Travis and this is Shop Nation. Today we're going to be adding a little bit of organization to the end of my workbench here. Thanks to Hone for sponsoring today's video. Now, if you're not familiar, I recently built this versatile workbench, which really encompasses a lot of the aspects that I wanted in my shop, and I think that fits really well in most small shops. And one really intentional design feature was to leave this kind of opening cutout so that you can put some organization on the ends of the workbench and not just have a flat face that you can't really do much with. And up to this point, I've kind of held off with doing anything about it, just because I want to be extra intentional about it and really fit it to my specific needs. Well, now that I've had a chance to work in the shop and kind of utilize the space, I've identified some things that I want to have really handy right here that are otherwise just kind of thrown about the shop. And the first thing that I want to store on the end here is my custom router fence. I have a whole build video on how I built this thing, and if you want to laugh on how I actually machined all this using a woodworking router, go check that out. But now that I have this thing, I end up using it quite a bit, and right now I just kind of store it off in the corner, which is not very Shop Nation-like. So having this mount directly underneath the side here, which is quick access to where I'm actually going to use it, is going to make my life that much easier. And along with that are the hoses that I use most commonly at this end of the workbench. Now this clear 4-inch hose is what mounts directly into the router fence, and this hooks up to the dust collection that's built into the workbench. And then this hose, which I believe is from Rockler, I'll have all this linked down below, is one that I just use all the time to clean up things around the shop, or I hook it up to one of my smaller hand tools. So between these two hoses, these are the ones that I'm constantly searching for and always using on this end of the workbench. So to have them mounted right here makes a lot of sense. And then randomly in this section of the shop on the edge of this butcher block, I store all of my small little F-style clamps. Now I find myself using these a ton in projects, and it would be really nice to have these a little bit closer to the workbench that I can just kind of reach down and grab. So I'm also going to incorporate storage for a bunch of these. Now I think an important part of any shop organizational project like this is understanding your workflow. What things are you constantly reaching for in your shop that you wish were a little bit closer? And vice versa, what are some things that you actually don't end up using a whole lot that you can maybe store in a less accessible area? This I think honestly just comes with time, because we all have an idea of how the workflow is going to be, and then you go to use it and it's totally different, which is why I waited so long to do this. But now that I've identified those things that I know are going to make my life that much easier, I'm going to put them right here. So if you've watched any of my videos, you know that aesthetics in the shop are important to me. It just makes me feel good knowing that everything out here looks good. So I don't just want to bang a couple nails in here and just hang this stuff up and call it a day. Though there are plenty of shops that want to do that, and I'm not saying it's wrong, I just say my personal preference is to have everything look very nice. So what I think I'm going to do is mount the router fence somewhere in this orientation, and I'll make sort of a bracket that utilizes some pieces of scrap T-track that I can just kind of slide this in, hold it in place. And basically that's going to free up this whole area where I'll drape one of those vacuum hoses that I showed earlier. And then I'm thinking this area here is where I'm going to put a rack, more or less, that I can hang those F-style clamps on. I don't need to have every F-style clamp I own, I just need to have, 4 to 6 of them. So I think that's my plan. It may change as we go, but let's just go after it. As I mentioned, I'm thinking of using some T-track to capture the T-bolts and create a lamination of some 1/2-inch plywood to start. All right, so I'm gonna steal a 3D printed hose hanger I made previously for my sanding cabinet. which I don't actually use to hang a hose on anymore. Now you can obviously make something like this out of just about anything else, but if you know me, you know I like 3D printing. So here we go. With that sorted, let's make a simple little shelf that these clamps can clamp onto. Now I don't know about you, but I'm always reaching for these in the shop. So to have them right here at the workbench is gonna be nice. But first, let's talk about the sponsor of today's video, Hone. Listen guys, as men get older, testosterone levels can drop by 1 to 2% per year. Tens of millions of men in the United States are suffering from low testosterone or hormone imbalances that are affecting their daily lives. Hone treats your hormone imbalance and low testosterone with real physicians, real science, and real FDA-approved methods of treatment. Taking control of things like hormones and testosterone can increase muscle mass, decrease body fat, and give you more energy. And the best way to know if you have one of these imbalances is to get tested. And Hone allows you to do that from the comfort of your home. Now, I put a huge emphasis on my health, so more energy and muscle mass sounds pretty good to me. Now, I'm far from an expert of pretty much everything, certainly not a medical expert, but Hone Health is, and they'll be there every step of the way through the process. So here's how it works. You start with the Hone at-home assessment, which comes with instructions, a pre-printed return label, blood sample tools, and Band-Aids, which allows you to take a very small blood sample from a finger prick, which gets sent off to an accredited lab for analysis. Then you speak to a real doctor about your results, who then will prescribe you a personal treatment to get your levels back in line. And then it's as easy as just subscribing to that personalized plan. And what's cool is that subscription includes verification and monitoring, so you can constantly monitor and adjust if needed. Order Hone's easy-to-use at-home assessment today and take control of your health and future. For a limited time only, viewers can get the at-home assessment and a doctor consultation for only $45. Click on the link in the video description below or go to honehealth.com/shopnation to take advantage now. Okay, let's get back to it. Now, obviously for little organizational things like this that you do around your shop, whether it be on this type of workbench or just something else in your workshop, you don't have to go through the effort of actually painting it or even making it look nice for that matter. But as I mentioned, I really take a lot of pride in how my shop looks, and I think it's a reflection of me as a creative person. It just really kind of gets my juices flowing. So I would recommend doing it, but you definitely don't have to. Now finally, with this last hose, I was kind of really scratching my head on what to do with it, and then I found out that it kind of perfectly just fits below the router fence. It's a good use of space, and I can always improve it later on. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is all she wrote. Now, this wasn't the most complex project in the world, but it was just an example of how I took the initiative to really organize an area that I really have been meaning to organize in my shop. So now I really love the fact that all of this stuff is right here whenever I need it, and I don't have to go search for it around the shop like I did before. So I've been getting a lot of really good feedback on these small, sort of bite-sized shop organizational type videos. And I'm curious what you thought about this one. Was it helpful? Was it a waste of time? For me personally, this accomplished a lot in my shop with not very much effort. I mean, if you didn't go through the process of painting everything, you could have banged this out in about an hour. And the net result should be an improvement in my overall workflow. And if you wouldn't mind, smash the thumbs up button. And if you're not already, consider subscribing to the channel because I do this kind of stuff all the time. Thank you guys so much for watching. I sincerely appreciate each and every one of you. Keep in mind that just about everything you see in my shop, I probably have a video on, so go check that out. I'll also try and link everything I used or referenced in the video down in the description below. I hope everyone out there has a happy holidays, and until next time, keep pursuing shop greatness.